Hello everyone, good evening. I'm sharing my screen, guys. And before we proceed with today's session, guys, a quick announcement. Hopefully, if you've looked at my email, uh, we're not really sure who that is, but someone deleted few projects from the integrations track, guys. And I think Vishal, you are one of the victim, right? Your project is also deleted there. So yeah, we're still trying to figure out who that is. See, the problem is we're using a common username, and that is making it a lot more difficult for us to figure out who that idiot is. And I don't hesitate to call him so because unnecessarily it's creating a lot of trouble. Okay, so just in case you have lost any of your code, there's no way we can recover it, guys. In fact, he deleted the batch code as well. But what I did is, with the help of our team support, we were able to bring, we were able to create the projects and the required integrations as well. So we have UG63 project in OIC instance, which is in the same stage that it was earlier. What we did was we copied the integrations we've done for a previous batch, because that's pretty much the same stuff we cover for other batches as well. Okay. And one important point, guys, please take a backup of your code, guys, on a regular basis, and we will also do it from our side on a daily basis as well until this issue is resolved. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. So we're done with our file-based integrations with yesterday's session, guys. Okay, I'm going to just close these.
AP invoice.
Yeah, AP invoice. So we're done with AP invoice integration yesterday. And we're supposed to start off with file-based integrations. And before we go further, so what exactly we discussed before the inbound integration, Will, guys? The design approach that we need to follow, two possible options, file-based and web service-based approach. And we've also built two integrations using a web service-based approach. We have seen how to build a complex journal import SOAP service, and we've also seen how to build a complex AP invoice REST API as well. Now we're going to move on to the file-based integrations, and we would be covering FBDI automation first. And what would be the typical scenario, guys, for a file-based automations? A typical scenario would be something like this. Yes, a client has a data source. Client has a data source. Could be internal or external data source. So it could be a core banking system giving you a journals file, or it could be a billing system giving AR invoices file, or it can be an external data source like Bloomberg giving exchange rates file on a daily basis. Yes, all of you know very well that if a client implements ERP cloud, that doesn't mean that clients would stop using every other system and do everything in cloud, right? There would be plenty of systems that would be sitting before the cloud and after the cloud as well. So we are looking at inbound integrations and a file-based approach now. So you have plenty of data sources from where the files get generated, like journals file, invoices file, purchase orders, or exchange rates you receive from external vendor, and that have to be loaded into ERP cloud on a daily basis. Now, what's the approach on a high level that we follow, guys? We usually ask the data source to put the file in a specific folder in SFTP server. Okay, whether it is internal or external data source, they would drop the file in FTP server. Okay, let's say a core banking system, or let's say Bloomberg is an external data source, and let's say they're giving us a exchange rates file. So let's say Bloomberg places a file at 2 o'clock in the morning. We would schedule an integration to run at 2:30. And in that integration, on a high level, we will be using, yes, we would first list down the files to see how many files are there to process, and we're going to loop through them. And within a loop, we're going to process all the files. So when we build this integration, we'll build it in such a way that it can handle multiple files as well. So from our scheduled orchestration in OIC, we're going to download, first list down the files, loop through them, and on every file, we're going to perform these operations. We would use FTP connection to download that specific file. And after we download it here, in between these two nodes, you can plug in any transformation, validation, or enrichment that you might need. Okay, so after you download the file, here you can plug in any sort of a transformation that you need, a bulk transformation, validation, or enrichment. You can plug in all that required logic here. And then we can make use of ERP cloud connection to send the file to ERP cloud. Remember when we use ERP cloud, we were using first option, right? CRUD operations using web services so far. In this integration, we will use second option, which says FBDI. And yes, we download the file, do the required transformations, prepare a file in required format if you're not getting it from a data source in that format, and we send the file to ERP. Now, you see this arrow mark, guys? When you send a file to ERP cloud from an integration in OIC, you would not be getting back any response. You would not get back any response. And the main integration finishes immediately. The main integration finishes immediately. As soon as the file is sent to ERP, this finishes immediately. And in ERP cloud, yes, there would be a couple of jobs that would be executed. First of all, the loader would run. That would dump the data from file to interface table. And then import job would run, and then import job would run, and that would import the data from interface tables into base tables. Okay, so there would be two jobs submitted in ERP. We'll see the manual FBDI process in 15 minutes from now, guys. But in short, yes, two jobs would be submitted in ERP cloud. First, a loader, which would dump the data from file to interface tables. And then you run the import job, which would validate the data in interface table and process them. And even before the loader is complete in ERP cloud, the main integration finishes. Now tell me one thing, as if one of you are leading an integration support team, let's say a client has gone live, and every day, let's say you need to have 10 files loaded to ERP cloud, journals, file invoices, purchase orders, etc. What is the first thing that you would ask, guys, as an integration support team lead? And let's say those files get loaded to ERP cloud at different time intervals, one at 3 o'clock, one at 1 o'clock, one at 2 o'clock. As a team lead, what would you ask for, guys? A bare minimum, a notification, first of all, to let you know whether the journals are loaded or not, invoices are loaded or not successfully. And since we are picking up a file from SFTP and loading it to cloud, so yes, we should also archive the data file as well. Because what would happen if we leave the file behind, guys? File has already been loaded. In the next schedule run, the same file will be picked up again. Common sense, isn't it? So whether you like it or not, there would be at least a few post-processing actions that you have to do. Post-processing means after the file is sent to ERP cloud, yes, and after it is processed here, we need to execute a set of actions like sending out a notification to the support team, archiving a data file, and also whatever logs and output files would be generated by ERP, right? We also need to dump them to an SFTP server and make them available to the support team. Now, where do you plug in all those post-processing actions, guys? So those post-processing actions, we will put them into a callback service. Remember, we're going to create two integrations as part of this, like FBDI main integration and FBDI callback integration. In the FBDI main integration, we would be plugging in this logic. Like it would be a scheduled orchestration. You would list down the files, pick up a file, and you would do the required transformations and then send it to ERP. And this would be a scheduled orchestration. And as part of FBDI automation, yes, the main service would be a scheduled one whose job is to download the file, transform, and load it to cloud. And at the same time, we also need to build a callback service. And in the callback service, we will be using ERP cloud connection as a trigger. ERP cloud connection as a trigger. And we will subscribe to, when you use ERP cloud connection as a trigger, guys, you will see three options in there. And one of the options says receive FBDI callback. So we use ERP cloud connection as a trigger and we say we want to receive FBDI callback from ERP. And we're going to activate this integration. Now, the way it works is when you, let's say Bloomberg places a file at 2 o'clock, scheduled orchestration runs at 2:30, downloads a file, sends it to ERP. And the file processing in ERP, let's say it took 10 minutes. Okay, so the loader is executed and then the import job. And after all the jobs are done, after the file processing is done in ERP, what ERP cloud is going to do is it would raise a business event called ERP import bulk data event. So ERP Cloud is going to raise a business event called ERP import bulk data business event. Okay, and when it raises that business event, it's going to include all the details in that event, like what file has been processed, what are the log and output files generated, and all that stuff. Now, when you create a callback integration as an app-driven orchestration using ERP Cloud connection as a trigger, and if you say you want to receive FBDI callback event, and you activate the integration, what would happen? The callback service will get linked to the ERP import bulk data event. So as soon as you build an integration, app-driven orchestration ERP as trigger, and you activate this gets subscribed to ERP import bulk data event. So what would happen at 2:45 after the file processing is done, when ERP raises the business event, ERP import bulk data event, this integration would be triggered automatically. And when you receive FBDI callback, guys, you would mention which specific import process callback you want to receive. Is it exchange rates callback, or is it journals callback, or is it invoices callback? And yes, based on that, your integration would be triggered. So if you say you want to receive exchange rates callback, whenever exchange rate file is loaded in ERP Cloud through the bulk import node in integrations, the business event would be raised, and to that business event, since this integration is subscribed to, this gets triggered. And in the callback service, what do we normally do, guys? We do all the post-processing actions, like archiving a data file, sending out a notification with attachments, and dumping the log files to SFTP. Remember one important point, guys, this callback service will be triggered automatically by ERP through business event subscription. I'll show it to you everything in detail. Okay, I'm just explaining a approach on a very high level of how it's going to work. We'll talk about each and every step in detail. So since this is subscribed to that business event, it gets triggered, and you would receive a lot of input into the integration, guys. First of all, you receive a zip file as input, and in that zip file, you have log and output files. Okay, and you would also have the file name. You would also have the request ID. So all the information you receive as input. So we're going to dump all that information to a log folder, so that what would happen, guys? So for example, if I'm an integration support team lead, if I receive a notification saying that journals failed, I'll ask my support team member to look at it, and my support team member would directly go to this folder and look at the log files first. They are readily available here. He doesn't have to run around in ERP Cloud or OIC to search for the log files. It's readily available for him. And there is also a data file that has been available in the archive folder. So they look at the data file, they look at the log files, and they would understand what the problem is. And also, yes, we would be sending out a notification to the relevant business and the support teams here. So this is what we're going to do as part of FBDI automation. Two integrations, a scheduled orchestration, a main service, list on the files, loop through them, download it, do the required transformation, send it to cloud. To do the post-processing actions, create a callback service, receive a callback from ERP automatically, dump the logs to SFTP, send a notification, archive the files. Pretty simple steps. And remember, guys, this is probably one of the very common integration pattern that you come across in real time. Any integration project you work, guys, especially if it is financials project, you would build at least 4 to 5 FBDI automation services, if not more. But I'm sure there must be at least a couple of you who might be hearing FBDI for the first time. Is there anyone, guys, who was hearing FBDI for the first time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much expected. So what I would do was, I believe that it doesn't make sense to directly show you how to automate a process about which you know nothing. Okay, so to make you comfortable with the FBDI process, we'll quickly unload a file manually in Fusion Cloud, understand the steps involved, and then we'll go back and automate the process and integration. Okay, what does FBDI stands for, guys? It stands for file-based data import. FBDI is a process that you need to use to do a bulk data upload into FSCM modules, financials and supply chain management modules. And what sort of data do you want to upload? Master as well as transactional data. What are examples of master data, guys? Items, customers, suppliers. transactional data. It can be AR invoices, AP invoices, journals, exchange rates, etc. And you would be, so these are, so whether you want to load the master or transactional data in bulk into FSCM modules, you have to use FBDI process for it. Now we are going to use exchange rates as an example in this particular use case, guys. Why exchange rates or currency conversion rates? Because this is a first integration discussion that you get into if you're doing a finance implementation project. Any client who implements Fusion Financials, guys, any client who implements Fusion Financials, there would be a requirement to load in exchange rates into the application. Okay, there would be a requirement to load in exchange rates into Fusion Cloud application every single day. Every single day. Okay, so just give me one moment, guys. Yeah, there would be a requirement to load in exchange rates into this application every single day. Now, first of all, you might say, what are the exact requirements, or why do we need exchange rates first of all? So let's say your functional consultant has configured a ledger. Let's say it's US primary ledger. And whenever you define a ledger in Fusion Cloud, you would attach a currency to it. You would use a currency. Let's say you used USD as a currency, US dollar. As long as you create transactions or journals in USD currency, well and good, no problem at all. But the moment you create transactions or journals in a foreign currency, whether it is in GBP or INR or any other currency, then yes, let's say I create a journal in INR currency, and let's say I've entered amount as 8,500. And let's say exchange rate today is 85 rupees, 1 USD equal to 85 INR. So yes, when I create a journal, I would be entering the amount in INR as 8,500 INR. But remember, guys, entered amounts can be in foreign currency, but the accounted amounts should always be stored in a ledger currency. So a Fusion Cloud application should have a way to convert that 8,500 INR into USD. Now, when will Fusion Cloud application be able to do that conversion, guys? Only when the exchange rates are available in the application from INR to USD. Where do you see those exchange rates, guys? If you're going to setup and maintenance, go to global search. And I'm going to search for manage daily rates here. So there are multiple names with which we refer to the exchange rates, guys. You can call them as daily rates. You can call them as exchange rates, currency conversion rates, or GL daily rates. Everything means the same. It's basically the exchange rate. Now, if you go into daily rates here, you can say from USD to INR. And let's see if you have exchange rate for today. And I'm going to select the exchange rate type as corporate. I'm going to search for it. So you can see that there's already an exchange rate loaded here. So the way exchange rate works is if a rate is already exists or rate already exists in cloud, and if I load in a new file, so the exchange rate gets overwritten. If it doesn't exist, it would be inserted. If it exists, it would be updated. Now, yes, there would be a requirement to load in exchange rates on a daily basis into a Fusion Cloud, guys. But tell me one thing, guys. You might say, Prasad, why on a daily basis can't I upload the exchange rates for the next 2 months now? Is it possible, guys? Can you predict what is going to be the exchange rate from USD to INR? Forget about next week on 12th or 13th.
No, not at all.
Yeah, if you probably know that, you don't have to do anything in your life, right? So it keeps changing. It would be dynamic. So for that reason, you would be loading exchange rates on a daily basis. And usually the vendors, right, or the clients, usually they have agreements with external data sources to provide exchange rate file on a daily basis. So most of the clients whom I have worked with, right, they had agreements with vendors like Bloomberg, and they sign an yearly contract with them. And as part of the contract, Bloomberg is going to give exchange rates file on a daily basis. And they're going to dump the file in a specific SFTP location that we tell them. And from there onwards, it is our responsibility to pick it up, load it into cloud. Okay. Now, to show you how to, so if I have to load the exchange rates in bulk, you see one exchange rate here, right? If I have to load the exchange rates in bulk into Fusion Cloud, how can I do it? I would have to make use of FBDI process for it. How does it work, guys? 3 simple steps, or rather 2 simple steps. Download the Excel template. Remember, Oracle has given FBDI templates for different business objects. So you have one, for every business object, you have a separate FBDI template. So for exchange rates, you have one template. We just have to download the template, Excel template, fill in data into it. And within that template itself, we have an option to create exchange rates file. So you say create file, and that's going to create a zip file. And yes, whatever data that you enter in Excel sheet, when you hit this create zip file, with that data, zip file would be created, and within the zip file, there would be a CSV file. We'll see that in a moment. Download template, fill in data, generate a zip file, and then go into Fusion Cloud, and you need to run a couple of jobs. You need to run the loader job first, followed by the import job. Loader job would dump the data from file to interface tables, and import job is going to load the data from interface tables to base tables, of course, after validations. Now, how do I search for FBDI template, guys? So I'm going to say GL daily rates FBDI template. So I'm going to go to Google and search for this GL daily rates FBDI template. And you go to the first line. It is saying that I'm viewing an older release. So I'm going to go to the latest release. And here, so this particular link is going to show me the FBDI templates for finance modules. And you see you have templates to do a mass upload of fixed assets, templates to load cash management, templates to load customers, and you have templates to load GL and other data, right? You have template to load exchange rates, import and calculate daily rates is exchange rates. You also have template to load journals as well. And if you scroll down further, you have templates to load payables and receivable transactions as well. So you have plenty of templates here. So I'm interested in GL daily rates template. I go in here, and all you have to do is there would be an Excel template. You need to download that. And after you download that Excel template, open it. And when you open this Excel template, remember I'm doing it on a MacBook, guys. So once a template opens up, remember on my MacBook, I don't have macros installed. And I also don't have ActiveX controls installed. I don't have macros and I don't have ActiveX controls installed. So I would have to open this sheet disabling macros, and I'm going to open this as a read-only sheet. But when you do this in your Windows machine, you're not going to disable macros. You're going to open the sheet enabling macros, guys. And this is exactly how it's going to look like. Now, first of all, there are two tabs here. First tab contains instructions that you need to know to load a file into Fusion Cloud. So if you have to load exchange rates, you can do so by following the instructions given in sheet 1. And this is exactly what we're going to do. And if you don't know what is the interface table for exchange rates, or if you don't know in what format you need to prepare the data, like the date format or something else, or if you don't know what jobs we need to run, if you don't know what jobs you need to run, all the instructions would be given in the first sheet. And when you go to the second sheet, remember the second sheet would be named after the interface table. For GL daily rates, you've got only one interface table, and you see the table name here. And here you have a header row, and in the header row, you have column headings. And you see the mandatory fields marked with asterisks, and you also see the detailed comments as well. You also see the detailed comments as well. Now tell me one thing, guys, for an exchange rate to be loaded into cloud, what information do we need, guys? So we need from and to currency, from and to date, exchange rate type. So you see 5 fields here, guys, yes or no? From and to currency, from and to date, exchange rate type. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the same 5 fields you see here. And we also have exchange rate here, and we also have inverse rate. So what does exchange rate means, guys? 1 USD equal to 83 INR, and inverse rate means 1 divided by this value. So it's like 1 INR equal to 0.01 USD. So that information also we need to mention exchange rate and inverse rate. And after that, if any DFF attributes are enabled on the exchange rate record, and if you want to load values into any DFF attributes, you can mention that as well here. And to make your life easy, what Oracle does is in every FBDI template, it also gives some sample data, guys. It also gives some sample data so that it will be easy for you to understand in what format you need to fill in the data. I'm going to delete all of this. And I've given a sample Excel for you. So if you go to FBDI GL daily rates, you would be able to see one daily rates import template. You would be able to see one daily rates import template here. You just have to open that template again. I'm going to disable the macros and open it as read-only sheet. And I can just copy 3 data rows here. So what am I doing, guys? I'm just trying to copy some of the data from the other sheet. And I've pasted it in here. Now, what is it that I'm trying to do? I'm trying to load the exchange rates from USD to INR, Canadian dollar, and GBP. And what's the date that we want to load exchange rates for 2024? 0, 1, 10, right? And I'm going to mention the exchange rate as type as corporate, and I'm going to leave the exchange rate and inverse rate as is. So I don't have any other DFF attribute. So so this is a format in which you're going to get the exchange rates from Bloomberg. So Bloomberg is going to give you an exchange rate file, right? So you can copy the data from that Bloomberg provides, and you can paste it into this sheet. And after you paste it into sheet, you can do a quick validation if you want. Remember, guys, on a MacBook, you cannot hit these buttons. But if it is a Windows machine, after you populate the data, you can hit this button. And it will show you if there are any validation errors. And after that, you're going to hit this button in your Windows machine, generate GL daily rates. And the moment you hit this button, what would happen, guys? Remember, I cannot hit this on a MacBook, but you can do so in Windows machine after you populate the data and do the corrections, hit this button. And the moment you hit that button, you would be prompted to select a folder. You would be prompted to select a folder. So let's say you selected this folder. Let's say you selected this folder. Okay, let me delete this as well. I'm going to have the copy in the other one. Would delete it. And I'll also delete this one as well. We're going to explore a lot of things with this integration use case, guys. So the moment you hit this particular button, what would happen? You would be prompted to select a folder. So what you can do is you can go to your desktop, create a folder there, and you select it. And the moment you select a folder, what would happen, guys? Immediately a zip file would be generated in that. And if you open that zip file, within the zip file, there would be a CSV file in it. And if you open the CSV file, what data would you get to see in that CSV file, guys? Whatever data that you entered here, in this Excel template, with this data, the moment you hit this button, macros are going to generate a CSV file with this information. Okay, the moment you hit this button, macros are going to generate a CSV file with this information in the background. And it's going to create a CSV file which looks like this. In real time, or if you're using Windows machine, you just have to populate data in here, hit this button, you get a zip file, and within that zip file, you already have a CSV file in required format. You just have to load the CSV file. But I cannot hit this button on my MacBook. So what I have to do is, I would just edit the data in CSV manually. We can do that. And I'm trying to load exchange rate for today's date. And after you edit the CSV file, I also want to zip it. I also want to zip this because you can only load a zip file into ERP cloud, not a plain CSV file. So I can do a compress here directly. Normally, how do you zip a file in Windows guys? You say right click and you say send to zip file. Right? We have that option on MacBook as well. But when if I try to do this, what would happen is there would be some hidden files that get included in a zip file along with the CSV file. And that interface with the FBDI process, guys. So what I do was, and I have to do all of this only because I'm using Mac, guys. If you're using Windows, plain and simple, populate data, hit this button, you get a zip file already, and you just have to load that. So if you're thinking too many steps, why is Prasad doing all of this? It's only because I'm using a different OS. So I just have to do a right click here, and I say new terminal. And I'm going to just run a command here to zip the CSV file. I just want to include a zip file in a CSV file. And I'm going to call the zip file as 10th January 2024. And I'm trying to exclude those hidden files that get included in a zip file. Okay. And the moment I do this, you see there's a zip file that got generated, and within the zip file, you have a CSV file. Within the zip file, you have a CSV file. Okay. Now, what exactly do you need to do? So we have the zip file ready, and I need to load it into cloud. To load it into cloud, what do we do, guys? We just have to log into Fusion Cloud application, go into schedule process screen, and just have to run a couple of jobs. And if you don't know what jobs you need to run, you can talk to a technical consultant, or that information is also given in the documentation as well. So I could see some jobs already running here. I'm going to filter the jobs by the username. Okay, looks like somebody has already loaded an exchange rate file today, but that's okay. We'll ignore them and we'll go ahead and run the exchange rates. So I'm going to schedule new process here. And what's the job that we need to run, guys? The first job that you need to run is a loader job. Load interface file for import. And this is a common loader job, guys. And this job is going to dump the data from a zip file into interface tables. Click OK. Now, since it is a common loader job, there should be a way for it to know what is Prasad trying to load here, right? Because I might be loading exchange rates, or I might be loading journals, or it could be purchase orders. So there should be a way for it to know what is it that I'm trying to upload here? What file am I uploading here? And how does it know? It prompts us to select an import process, and based on the import process, it knows what data you are uploading in the next step. So what is the import job for exchange rates, guys? So if you don't know it, you have two ways to figure it out. So this is an import job. You can get it from the documentation, or it is also available in the template as well, FBDI template. Otherwise, it is also available in FBDI template as well. So you see, here you will be able to see that job. Otherwise, there would be a technical consultant to help you, and I need to upload the data file. So I say upload a new file, and I'm going to pick up the file from my local drive. Okay, I'm going to pick up a file from my local drive. I'm going to pick up a file from our local drive. And the moment you pick up a file from your local drive and submit the import job, sorry, the loader job, you get back a request ID. And what exactly happens, guys? The moment you run the loader job, okay, looks like it is going into retrain status. So this usually happens when you have a problem with the instance, guys. While we are waiting for it, let me just quickly call the vendor and see if there is any other instance available. Give me a couple of minutes, guys. Yes, vendor is checking, guys. We'll get a call back in a couple of minutes. Any questions, guys, in what we've covered so far? Any questions on the design of the integration, or everybody clear so far?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
But can I mean, just we have time. So
Yeah.
yesterday I tried that integration that we discussed yesterday. So
AP
I'm
invoice.
not able to, yes, AP invoice. I tried it, from the scratch twice, but again and again I'm getting an error. I'm not sure what exactly the mistake I'm performing.
Okay, what's the project? Do you have? Do you have
Yeah,
your?
AV.
Have you taken a backup of your project?
Yes, yes, I have taken.
Okay, perfect. Everybody, please take a backup, please. Okay, so you when you're trying to run it, you're running into an issue, right?
Yes. I'm
Okay,
not
let's.
sure. I mean, maybe ERP cloud was a problem, or maybe I'm not.
Oh, that's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll just do a quick run while we are waiting for the instance. Okay, what has happened? See that this integration has errored out. Let's see why. Yes, it creating invoice. This has run into an issue. And it is saying remote application error, right? Remote application exception. And you go into details here. You can just copy this payload. Okay, so you have an answer here, right? What does it say? Have you know?
The value of supplier and supplier site is
Yeah,
something.
I'm just going in here. You must provide a valid value for a supplier site attribute. So what you might have probably done is, if you look at the mappings, that will tell you what the problem is.
Okay.
So you map supplier site to member, right? So ideally this mapping should have gone into this. Okay, that's a problem.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for him, guys. Just give me one moment. Yeah, I've got a response. Yeah, thankfully we've got an alternate instance, guys. So this has been a problem since morning. Nothing went right for us today. I'm uploading a Fusion Cloud instances now. Capital E. O8 D7 question mark W. I'm going to mark this in green. Okay, as usual, somebody would have logged HCMIMPL user. So I'm trying to log in as HCMIMPL 20. Well, as usual, IMPL 10 was also logged. Somebody tried to log in with the wrong password for more than 5 times. But EUDU was working. And what can we do, guys? I'll just go ahead and quickly unlock the user, and then we'll upload the file here, logging in as PIN-IMPL user. analysis. You can come out of this. I'm going to log in back into the application as in IMPL. And to see the exchange rates, first of all, before I load the file, I just want to show you the exchange rates, because that would be a kind of a confirmation for you that yes, the rates are loaded successfully. Okay, we don't have any exchange rate from USD to INR for today's date. So obviously after I load in the file, we should be able to see the exchange rates loaded here. Now, how do I load in the file, guys? What job do we need to run? Let me not type it in. I'll just say a few of my keystrokes. You will also select the import job. Now, the moment you submit the import job by saying yes, of course, I need to upload a data file. And the moment you submit a loader, you get back a request ID. And this job that you're seeing here, guys, it's going to kick off a couple of jobs. So the first job that it is going to kick off is a transfer file. So this job is going to kick off a transfer file job, and all this job is going to do is it's going to go to my local drive, pick up this data file, and it would be uploading this file to something called as a content server in Fusion Cloud. Remember, guys, every Fusion Cloud instance would have a file server associated with it or a content server associated with it. And how do you access it, guys? A Fusion Cloud application link followed by CS. What does CS stands for? Content server or a file server. Now, when you access this file server or a content server, what is it that you get to see? You get to see a page where you will be able to see it's nothing but a file server attached to Fusion Cloud application. So any data that you want to load into Fusion Cloud, it has to be loaded through or loaded to a content server first, then it has to be imported. So whether it is FBDI file or whether it is HCM data loader file that you are uploading, doesn't matter. The file has to be uploaded to UCM first. And the same applies for extraction as well. Even when you try to do a bulk extraction from ERP, through the VIP reports, usually we upload the file here, the output of VIP report, and we ask the other system to pick it up from here. So kind of a a kind of a file server or a content server attached to Fusion Cloud. People refer to this with multiple names, guys. Content server, WCC, Web Center Content, and you can also call it as Universal Content Management, UCM as well. UCM as well. So depending on the file, so what's the file that we have tried to process, guys? So let me copy the entire file name, and I'm going to paste that file name in here, and I'll search for it. Now, when I search for the file name here, you should be able to see a file uploaded here. And when you click on icon, you will be able to see the file uploaded here. You see the zip file. So I'll be able to get into, so you see, first of all, when I ran a loader, this file, this job got kicked off. It has picked up the file from my local drive and it has uploaded it to UCM. Now, what else do we need to do, guys? You wait for the job to complete. So after this transfer file is done, remember I only ran this job that has transferred the file to UCM, and then it ran the loader job, load worker. So what exactly this job does? It loads the file to interface tables. So it is going to pick up the file from UCM. The reason why the file needs to be transferred is, why should the file be transferred from Prasad MacBook to content server? Because this load worker can only pick up a file from UCM. So it comes in here, it picks up this file, and it loads 3 exchange rate records into GL daily rates interface table. And another important point here is you see that import job is also submitted automatically. Remember, guys, this loader has dumped the data from file to interface table. And after that, what do we need to do? Ideally, we need to run the import job. And this is the import job. But what's the behavior we noticed here? Fusion Cloud or the loader job has submitted the import job automatically. Why is this the case, guys? Why did the import job also run? Why was it submitted automatically? Import job is also submitted automatically because the import job, this particular import job doesn't have any parameters. So if an import job doesn't have any parameters, does it really matter, guys, whether the loader submits it or whether you submit it explicitly? Even I'm going to do the same thing, right? I would also just select the job and submit it. So if your loader says, Prasad, let me help you a bit here. Since the import job doesn't have parameters, after the load worker is complete, the loader itself is going to kick off the import job, and this is going to pick up those 3 records interface loaded to interface table, and it would be loaded into base tables. It would be loaded into base tables. Now, what exactly do we need to do here, guys? So since the file is already uploaded, can we go to the Fusion Cloud and check, guys, whether the exchange rate is uploaded or not? We didn't see a rate earlier, but we could see the rate. So this is a process of this FBDI process that you need to follow if you have to load a file manually. But we need to automate this whole flow. So what exactly is going to happen, guys? Bloomberg is going to drop a file in SFTP server. So let's go to SFTP. We'll create a required folder structure. So I think I have to update the password here, guys. Just give me one moment. you could be dealing with multiple business objects. So I'm just creating one folder for daily rates. And in this folder, I'm going to create 4 directories, guys. I'll talk about how I'm going to use the other directories later on. Don't worry about other directories now. So for now, just worry about the input. So what is the expectation, guys? Yes, the expectation is that Bloomberg is going to give us exchange rate file, and they're going to place in that zip file in the input location. But do we have Bloomberg here to help us, guys? We don't have them, right? So let's go ahead and generate a couple of exchange rate files. Let's go ahead and generate a couple of exchange rate files. And we would also zip them and put it in SFTP location. So I'll go to UG63 and I'm going to open the CSV file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the date from 10th to 11th. Let's say 12th. Oh, that's okay. Well, we'll do 11. So this file contains exchange rates of 11th December now. So what I'm going to do is I would be zipping that file. Sometimes if I use that, let me just zip it now. So it contains exchange rates for 11th January. Okay, and I'm going to replace this one more time, and I'm going to put another file which contains exchange rates for 12th January. And usually, guys, for a business object like exchange rates, how many files would you get from a data source every day, guys? Every day it would be one file that you get with exchange rates for that day. But when I build this integration use case, guys, I want to show you how to build an integration which is capable of handling multiple files. So what are we going to do with that? So we would go into this. So that's why I've created 2 files here. Usually for exchange rates, you get only one, but if it is invoices or journals or purchase orders, you could receive multiple files from data sources. So to show you how to handle that complex scenario, I'm going to place in these 2 exchange rate files and we'll see how to process them in one go. Okay. I'm going to place these 2 files. Now, what exactly do we need to do, guys? In the integration, we need to build an integration in OIC. And from that integration in OIC, yes, we need to build 2 integrations from just one. How many connections we need? We need FTP and we need ERP connections. We already have both of them. And it's just that tomorrow we'll point ERP. I'll just point ERP connection to a working instance. And we need to go ahead and build the FBDI main service and a callback service. So we'll build these 2 integrations tomorrow, guys. And yeah, we'll pick it up from here tomorrow. Any questions, guys, from anyone? I'll take it as no. Thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow.